Spoken in a while. I do hope you're doing well. I know we've been going through our series with Shahid Bolson, and I haven't posted for a while. It's just been crazy, man. But I just thought I should take a bit of a step back because there's a lot that is happening in South Africa and indeed the African continent. But here in South Africa, we are having once again these issues around immigration. And yet again, African people are fighting each other. And as my title suggests, I place this squarely at the door of African leadership, or the lack thereof. Let's start at the beginning. 1963, the formation of the Organization of African Unity, which later on became the African Union. Our leaders met, they discussed the prospect of forging one Africa as one federation, one military, one economy and all of that. They failed to do that. Instead, they settled for a compromise, which is what we have now. They said, look, let's not redraft any colonial borders. Let's not do any of that. It's going to cause too much problems for us. Let us stick with these borders, but let's just opt more for a gradual regional integration going forward. So they failed to do it then. And over the years, they have not succeeded in achieving that regional integration. Over half a century later, over 50 years later, the African Union has failed to achieve that objective that was set out at the formation of the Organization of African Unity. They failed to achieve it then, they haven't achieved it now. Another issue, these leaders don't seem to hold each other accountable. Why are our people poor on the African continent? Why do our resources continue to be extracted to create wealth for the Western and Eastern powers? Why are there wars that have gone on unresolved for years on the African continent? Why are people displaced? Why are people fleeing their countries, thus causing these immigration issues, coupled with the failure to regionally integrate our people? Poor leadership, absence of leadership, political leadership. And I couldn't keep quiet about it anymore because I see our people in the streets fighting with each other. Poor African leadership. We had Zimbabwe, we had Mozambique on fire. South African government, no real intervention that will lead to anything. We've got opposition voices in African countries all over being persecuted. SADC, AU, all these ECOWAS, all these regional bodies, useless. They address nothing, can't resolve wars, can't do anything. And so I need to come back properly for this thing. But I listened to President Cyril Ramaphosa talking about, this operation to do as a vigilante group. They are causing divisions in the African. No, see, this is the problem. These politicians are not accountable. Especially this ANC bunch here, non-reflective, unaccountable. They blame everything else, everyone but themselves. The divisions in Africa are at your door, Ramaphosa and your colleagues on the African continent. You failed. This is a manifestation of your failure in leadership. And you say this is ruining South Africa's reputation. Bro, you went to the White House, sat there, trying to beg Daddy Trump, please, sir, please have mercy on us. And now the sanctions are at the door. The tariffs are at the door anyway. After you went there and gravelled and back. No statecraft, no strategy, no sound economic strategy, policy, direct, nothing. Instead, you resorted to begging. And Yanis Varoufakis, the former Minister of Finance in Greece, said to South Africa in terms of how to deal with the current United States, Trump is a bully. You cannot acquiesce to him. Then you go and acquiesce to him, and look now. So no, these African leaders must not gaslight us. And then they came here recently to do this liberation movement summit of theirs here in South Africa. And they're busy patting each other on the back for nonsense, patting themselves on the back. For what? For failing. Man. No. African youth, let's take ourselves serious. You see, the only speeches I want to hear from all these politicians, Ramaphosa and company on the African continent, I want to hear your resignation speeches. That's all I want to hear from you. Anything else I can't hear. Ramaphosa comes on, no, we must maintain the rule of law. Bro, the rule of law? The rule of law. You. What Ramaphosa is about. This is absolutely embarrassing. What is this? So, African leaders need to take accountability for these issues that they have caused, and they are far removed from them. It's not them there in the streets. It's not them that need public health care. It's not them that have to deal with the issues. So the only speech I want, yes, report chancellor, they must retire and give young people that. Absolutely. They must go. They must go. Because realistically, they got one foot in the grave. Those of us who are still young and must still live our lives here on this continent, we are the ones who are going to pay the price for all this stuff that they are doing. All their failures, their weaknesses. Why are Western and Eastern powers continue to exploit our resources at the expense of our people? Why are there so many wars that are unresolved for years? So no, President Ramaphosa, you have no moral ground to stand on to come here and talk to us. Oh, we must observe the rule of law. Rule of law, okay, let's talk about Para, CR17, your campaign which you refused to disclose. Who paid? Who funded you? Para, dollars. You were found with dollars, and then there was a whole controversy. So no. I'm sick of these guys. Hi, Nikki Fisaki. I'm sick of these guys. These politicians need to go. And as African youth, we need to start taking ourselves serious. We also are responsible for this, because we keep supporting these imbeciles. These old people who are tired, people who have so much resources and connections all over the world. When our countries collapse, they can go anywhere in the world. When they need healthcare, they can go anywhere. You and I don't have that luxury. So we gotta get rid. We can't support these guys. Google Art. Problem is we don't have a candidate. I hear you, and the problem is the political system itself. Because any kind of financial or political interest can buy politicians in the present political systems that we have. They can buy elections, they can rig elections so they can stay in power. They can do all kinds of political maneuvering to stay in power. But seriously, African youth, we need to do something. I was actually happy to see the youth in, what is Paul Biya's country again? Is it Cameroon? I mean, the guy was in power since before I was born, and I'm in my 30s, going on 40. That guy was in power for that long. Museveni doesn't want to relinquish power in Uganda. And these African leaders don't see no evil, don't hear no evil. Instead, they want to come to preach to us. Hey, don't be xenophobic. Hey, this and that. I'm tired of this gaslighting. Tired of this gaslighting. Weak leadership all around. We need to get rid of this nonsense. Listen, African youth, these people are not going to do anything. They're not going to change anything. They benefit from the status quo. So we need to really think about ourselves, our lives, our future, the future of our children. Niki Fisaki, we need someone like Troy. Perhaps. But the challenge with a Traore type of leadership is the issue of the citizens' rights that I get concerned about. Because I've seen too much abuse of power on the African continent. You know, I haven't really been able to follow Traore. And realistically, it's hard to follow what's happening in Burkina Faso. But I don't have a reason to believe he is harming his people. But how many African leaders have that in their hearts? And so that's my concern when it comes to leadership like that of a somewhat authoritarian figure. I mean, these guys can find ways to manipulate their power, even with a democracy in place. Even when there are accountability checks, these guys can find ways to abuse their power. So I'm a bit, hesitant on the Traore type of leadership, and perhaps depending on the person and their interests and all of that, and what controls them. But ideally, you want a leader who's going to drive development, provide opportunities for the youth, so that we stop scrambling for scraps while these politicians and the business elites that control them enjoy their lives. Operation Dudula is not going to have an effect on Ramaphosa or any of his cronies. Not on Johan Rupert or any of them that accompanied him to the White House, by the way, where he went and embarrassed us there. I'm so sick of this gaslighting by these politicians trying to turn the problem on the citizens. Panyaza Lisuvi was interviewed not too long ago. I saw that he was saying that Gauteng is in a mess because the voters chose to withdraw their votes from the ANC, thus leading to coalitions. Non-reflective and completely zero accountability. Can't look in the mirror and say, yeah, you know what, we effed up. No, it's the citizens, the voters are the ones who are. So gaslighting all the way. That's why I'm saying I don't want to hear any speeches by none of these politicians. These politicians, especially if you were there at the beginning of your country's independence, you should no longer be in political office. If you were there at the formation of the OAU and you are still a president in your country, that is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Google R, we dependent on loans like World Bank. Exactly. These are some of the levers, the levers of power that are used to manipulate our domestic issues, try and manipulate our foreign policy. You see, it was inevitable for me what happened to Ramaphosa at the White House. I didn't see any other outcome, because you're going to negotiate from a position of weakness and you're going to negotiate with a bully. See, these politicians are living in the past. Zodwa Maluke, they're living in the past. They're not keeping up with the shifts in geopolitics in the world. The United States of America is currently under a fascist, religious, authoritarian regime. That is the base that they appeal to. And you've got a bully as president. Now, you see, Trump is not Barack Obama. Trump is not Joe Biden. They are living in the previous bygone eras, these politicians of ours. See, Ramaphosa could have gotten away with going to the White House if it was the days of Barack Obama or these other liberal types. Trump is a right-winger. You need a strategy that is tailored to how you deal with a right-winger. Now you are dealing with a right-winger as though you are dealing with a Democrat. What's wrong with these guys? Statecraft, political strategy, geopolitical analysis, like what the hell? No, man. But anyway, I just want these politicians to stop gaslighting us. And the next thing I want from them, resignation speeches. Otherwise, we need to do something about them, whether through the ballot or otherwise. But the bottom line, they got to go. I'm tired of their lies. You know, when I listen to these politicians, and because I studied linguistics, I studied political discourse analysis and all that, I can just tell this guy is saying nothing. He's saying nothing. He's just obfuscating, trying to, divert and, dodge questions and deflect, project. That's what they do. So we're tired of this gaslighting. African youth, gotta get rid of them. Otherwise, we have no future. All I have to say for now, African family, my fellow South Africans, I will be back soon to address these matters. These are urgent matters. There are many matters, man. I mean, on my channel, I obviously like to focus more on geopolitics, foreign policy, world affairs, and all of that. But there are issues happening at the national level that put us in a very, very precarious, dangerous position geopolitically. The state is supposed to see to our national security. But if your security machinery, your security apparatus is compromised, your national security is already compromised. So come on, African youth. Come on, South African youth, Zimbabwean youth, Mozambican youth, Namibian youth, Botswana youth. Let us make sure we have leaders who are working in our interests. And I don't want us to listen to any of their speeches. I'm tired of these speeches. Tired of this stuff. Nikki Fisake, God also got a government we need to Jesus, economic, how Jesus was living and doing God's will and purpose. There's no future. Also, okay, I'm not sure I follow what you're trying to say. Maybe if you could retype, but really, African family, African youth especially, we must think about our future, the future of our children. Guys, it's still gonna be a long life. I have a daughter. I'm in my 30s going on 40. She's 6. She's still got a long life. And I don't see how she's gonna fare with this current crop of leadership in Africa. This current crop of leadership in South Africa. Let's get rid of him. And let's not apologize for it. Hey, Liberation Movement Summit. And then they come. I heard maybe 1 or 2 speeches where people were honestly being reflective about the failures of African leadership. The rest, yes, useless. I mean, Paul Biya in Cameroon, the guy couldn't even walk properly anymore, and he was still in the presidential office. Lesedi Moliti, hi there, welcome. And I also apologize to you, my viewers, that I haven't been around. It's just been hectic, and also, I like to keep calm and first observe things and analyze and think about things. And from my observing of things, until we get rid of these so-called leaders, I call them politicians. I don't see any real leadership in any of these guys. You can say what you say maybe about Paul Kagame. He has his flaws and everything. He's developing his country. He's developing his people, seemingly. His country is clean. They seem to be going in the right direction. Then there's us here in South Africa. Useless status quo speeches every day. State of the Nation address. Hey, commission of inquiry into this and that. Nonsense. They got to go. Useless. Anyway, African family, let me get back to the business of my day. I just thought, let me vent a little because of all this nonsense I've just been seeing. These leaders are useless. I'm not even going to get into talking about, hey, illegal immigrants, what. I look, like I say to you every time, I look at the world from a bird's eye view. I'm looking at things geopolitically. I am seeing absolute weakness on the African continent, not ready for the coming multipolar world. the global shifts in power dynamics and economics and so on. They are ill-prepared. In the age of AI, artificial intelligence, generative AI, clueless. So African family, thank you for your time. Thank you for your continued support. Our channel is growing slowly. I would rather go for that slow growth. I'm a slow cook type of guy. You know, I like my meals slow cooked. Hey, Molo, Kagiso, Kalinge. Welcome and thank you for tuning in. I was just about to sign out. Stop dissing AI. I'm not dissing AI. I'm saying our leaders are clueless in the age of AI. They are not providing us the kind of leadership that is going to project us into a future where we are competitive globally in the age of AI. Personally, by the way, I work in higher education and I work with technology and learning, technology-enhanced learning and those kinds of things, and AI in higher education. So I have no problem with AI per se. But AI is gonna chow us in future if we keep this current crop of leaders that we have. The West, the East, the Chinese, the Americans, the Russians, they're gonna chow us in future. The Brazilians, the Indians, they're gonna chow us on AI if we keep this current useless crop of leaders. We're gonna be chowed. After AI goes through a few years of whatever, I'm telling you, the next step is it being weaponized. And if we have not even grappled with AI, what it is and how it works, and how we can leverage it, what do you think is gonna happen to us? You remember how we were colonizing the early stages of the industrial revolutions, where people came to the African continent with advanced militaries and technologies and absolutely crushed us. It's gonna be the same with AI. If we keep this same danda heads. I'm sorry, Africans, but I'm just so enraged by this uselessness we are seeing. I'm not even going to get into the nitty-gritties of immigration, what. No. All of these are just manifestations of failures, all the way from 1963 with the OAU to the present moment with the AU. Absolute fail. African leadership. Not even just any country. Through and through, fail to integrate us, fail to bring us together, fail to have sound direction in terms of your geopolitical positionality as a continent. Fail. And then they do everything to protect their lives, their interests, their economic interests, their money, you know, and so to secure themselves. And the problem I have, like I said, I alluded earlier, they themselves are okay. They're secure personally. These politicians, their families, their extended families. The children of these politicians don't have the same kind of issues my daughter is going to have. These politicians are not having the kind of headaches I am having as an average citizen who is just working every day in terms of them providing for my daughter and building a future for her. They don't have those problems. And so they're not like us. They're not like us. They exist in a different reality completely, cushioned off from everything, in a bubble. So African family, let me go. I think I've ranted enough. I'm sure you've even had enough of me by now. One love, African family. Peace.